Okay, so that's another great question. What are some contemporary trends in education? There's some recent trends. A lot of grad schools or old bricks and mortar schools, seminaries even, that are having to shut down because of low enrollment. Enrollment is a really big topic these days, especially on-site enrollment, being shaped by all of the distance education going on. So the distance education is really affecting schools that have property, that have large overheads, and enrollment for a lot of them is down. Secondly, because of the economics of the 20-somethings, the generation that really does have a hard time finding jobs or the kinds of career tracks that they thought they were going to find, you're seeing more and more one-year master's degree programs instead of longer ones because they're more affordable and you can get out of them quicker and not come out with as much debt. So trying to provide more training, rigorous training, but in a more manageable, affordable level is part of that. And then I think an unwanted outcome of that is that if all this training is really aimed at trying to help people find a vocation or vocational jobs, that we're really getting away from liberal arts education or the humanities, which typically tend to not be as focused on skills or vocational tracks, career tracks. And I see that as a bad thing because education historically has always been about the good, the true, and the beautiful, about the flourishing of the human soul, about wisdom. And so I think the loss of the humanities or liberal arts, when we say liberal arts, we're not saying liberal. We're saying what was classically referred to as the free person's education. From the Latin liber, which means free, where we get liberty, liberal meaning generous, or liberally, when you spread something around generously. But so a free person's education, liberal arts, meaning the development of the person. A slave's education back in those days when most of culture were slaves, being taken in war or other things or born into slavery, that a slave's education was all about skills-based or vocation, trades. So the loss of a liberal arts education is simply the loss of the humanities or the loss of really looking at a individual person and saying there's a soulishness to people. We're not just automatons, we're not just mechanistic, we're not just robots. Like there's something there where we need more than just skills or vocational training. We need to learn how to develop as people, discipleship, if you will. And so I think that's a trend, is that you're seeing the humanities kind of go away in terms of relevance. Regrettably, that'd be another kind of a thing. So a lot of trends, a lot of shifts going on. There's a new documentary out called Ivory Tower or The Ivory Tower that really looks at what is happening to the modern college or university. It's a fascinating documentary off of a new book by a historian called Andrew Delbanco, and just really looking at the shifting trends in higher education and even asking the question, is it worth it? Is the investment worth it? Is the time worth it? So as somebody that's a part of a niche kind of startup grad school, I think what we're trying to do is provide a counter narrative to some of these trends, to provide a distance program, to provide a community, live-in community feel for a very tight, specific focus that's highly relevant, that's economical, affordable for students, and that really deals with not only a lot of the progressive or current affairs issues of today, but does it in a theological context that allows you to kind of grow into that sense of calling, but also be able to find your way in the bigger conversations of today while doing that from a theological starting point. So what's going on at Kilns College is really being framed, I think, in a cool way, innovative way, around some of the global trends, macro trends in education or higher education. So that's just a little bit of a start. We can take more at some point, but that's a great question on education, Christian education.